There's an old Zen story of two monks that were walking across the bridge. And the junior monk said to his teacher, he said, "What is the Buddha nature?" And the older monk picked him up and threw him in the water. You know?
So, of course, you join us here in the hot, arid, sunny deserts of Arizona, where we are, of course, preparing ourselves, mind and body, to be inducted unto the ways of the Shadow Wolves.
It's a spiritual journey.
It's a spiritual goateed journey.
Yes.
For some of us.
Yeah. Well, you know.
For our great sensei.
Unfortunately, I can't afford all the boot polish it would take to fully restore my hairline and to thicken this up a bit. But
to the levels of the.
I join our Patreon page and you can help restore my hairline to the glories of the Seagal.
I'll have to put a Patreon goal.
Restore my
hair plugs. Of course, we are more than ready.
Oh yeah, we've been meditating for days now.
Yeah. I suppose we should say, ahead of time, we are huge fans of Stephen's oeuvre.
His body of work.
His body and his work. Sensei Seagal.
Sensei Senpai.
Sensei Senpai Seagal.
Speaking of bodies, I like the way I like his body on the cover there. So, the hijacking of America. What about the hijacking of this model's body?
Poor man's body. Yeah, I think we should just do a brief little summary of this incredible cover.
The cover is incredible.
Multiple things to point out. I know it's difficult for you to see. His head is out of focus. The head does clearly not belong with this body.
I do have a feeling, however, if you were to meet Steven Seagal, his head would appear slightly out of focus.
It would seem very otherworldly. The body is clearly not his, and he has a belt buckle, a Native American chief belt buckle, a bizarre, shoulder holster in the complete wrong position because, of course, it's supposed to be concealed, but we have to see it to know that it's there, and this bizarre, jade medallion that he's wearing, this gigantic medallion that he's wearing, all of which are clearly visibly photoshopped onto the image.
No, that was given to him by his father when he was born.
Yeah,
in
the ceremony,
his father, Zeus.
in the sweat lodge. Fuck me. And all topped off by this incredible image of a wolf. The only real thing on the page. And you can visibly see the shape of the studio light in its eye. This big square box light. Fucking brilliant.
I like the cameo on the cover.
We'll go through the cover. So, The Way of the Shadow Wolves, subtitled The Deep State and the Hijacking of America, and topped off by perhaps the best 5 words I've ever read. Foreword by Sheriff Joe Arpaio. So, if you don't know who Joe Arpaio is, congratulations and consider yourself lucky. Skip the next 5 minutes. I think, there's not really much more to say. Seagal is a true artist, musically.
Well, she's not in New Orleans, she's in East Monroe,
Martially. and cinematically.
I'm gonna take you to the bank, Senator Trent. To the blood bank.
Agreed,
And
100%.
now we find out he is also a wordsmith. So he's never disappointed thus far, so I can't see him starting now.
There's no chance of it. I couldn't even conceive of this book being anything other than a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
Surely it won prizes, right?
Too many to list,
The Booker
apparently.
Prize and all that. Yeah.
It would cover the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, he wouldn't want to appear arrogant by putting something like that on
No,
the cover,
he's a
would he?
very humble man.
I was born clairvoyant. I was born a healer.
He's a very humble rapist. Yeah, I think without further ado, let us become one with the wolf. Oh my fucking god. Instantly incredible. Okay.
Typical Steven Seagal insta-kill.
Yeah.
That's how he rolls,
Yeah,
man.
the one punch knockout.
Yeah, it's his Aikido.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. This is fantastic. I hope it can continue this energy throughout, and I really do believe that it will. Okay. We dedicate this book to the Native Americans who were victims of genocide by the early invaders from Europe. Based, I think we have to agree, based Seagal. Comrade Seagal. Coming in with the heavy truths. It gets better. To the tribal police who combine the old ways and the new to defend our border with intelligence and integrity. To the US Marshals, most of whom represent the ideal of the Texas Rangers. The goodness of the nation in one man, one badge, riding alone. The badge is riding alone.
I'm sorry, right. Was it not people like the Texas Rangers and the US Marshals who committed that genocide that you were talking
We've
about?
neatly segued from the
Yeah.
poor Native Americans being genocided by the colonial invaders to
All hail the
love,
colonial invaders.
we love our cops, our law enforcement. We love our military, they are important.
Jesus got bars, mate.
Slinging them fucking piping hot bars, man.
We love our cops, our law enforcement. We love our military, they're important. We love our cops, our law enforcement. We love our military, they're important.
Oh, fuck. It's good to be back, innit?
And finally, to the average American citizen, awakened and finally, perhaps, ready to confront the deep state and restore our Constitution. Fuck me, what a start! I think that might even top dogcia at AOL.com for a fucking intro.
I think it does, yeah. The fucking lefty agenda are very, very lucky that Seagal himself didn't turn up on January the 6th. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I've seen what he can do with a cowboy boot. He can kick a man in the balls to death.
Fuck you, cop!
This is a work of fiction, and any resemblance to anyone living or dead is purely coincidental. But always remember that the truth comes in many forms. It's the equivalent of basically, while the news story I posted may have been fake, my point still stands.
Yeah. I love that as well. Like, any resemblance to people living or dead is completely coincidental.
He is neither living nor dead.
He's ascended, he's reached nirvana with the Dalai Putin.
So, I just want to read the back as well because there's a lot of great information here and some incredible images of Seagal himself, which, again, I love the dichotomy between him on the front from, like, recent years
Yeah.
and him on the back
From, like, the early
inexplicably
90s.
30 years out of date. Steven Seagal is an actor, producer, screenwriter, director, martial artist, sheriff, musician, and international businessman.
It's like, yeah, I mean, technically he's none of those things, really, is he?
No, he's a con artist.
Yeah.
Born in the USA! With Mohawk heritage, he is passionate about restoring the Constitution as the foundation for our republic and a return to responsible stewardship of Mother Earth, such as practiced by the Native Americans. And of course, the book was co-written with Tom Morrissey, who you might think, oh well, he's just some Jeffrey Robinson.
Some gun for hire.
Yeah, brought in to just spice things up, and he really wrote the book, and he's,
I
he's
do
the real
think that,
author
yeah.
behind this. Well, this may change your mind. Tom Morrissey is a retired Chief Deputy US Marshal, martial martial artist, veteran of the US Army, musician, author, political leader, and activist. He was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, to a blue-collar family in a culturally diverse community. Definitely not a racist. He loves to tell a good story about his dream of the return of this country's founding principles, with power back to the people. As director of the US Marshal Service, I fully understood the challenges which face all law enforcement officers in their day-to-day activities, like, you know, getting the lids off, sitting down without shooting themselves in the arses. You know, the day-to-day activities that they really struggle with. This is the story of a tribal police officer who stumbles onto one of the most notorious cases of all time in the Arizona desert. Although it is fiction, the story could have come from today's headlines. You might say it's a debut thriller ripped straight from the headlines. Brad Thor, New York Times #1 bestseller, author of Code of Conduct, a book that itself received a 1-star Goodreads review. I do love that whole thing of just, like, repeatedly basically saying, although all of this is made up, the point still stands. I know both of the authors, and I know their law enforcement experience, which is evident as they weave a tale of adventure, mystery, action, and betrayal. Steven Seagal is not only a master martial artist and film star, he is also an experienced police officer.
First APC will approach from the south. The second APC will approach from the north.
We're in.
And in terms of your life in America, you've been very much caught up in all the allegations of sexual harassment. You had a rape allegation against you, and I wonder how you deal with all that. Hello, Steven Seagal. Seagal there.
Together they have written a book that has had me feeling like I was back on the street protecting the citizens of this great nation. Louis McKinney, former director of the US Marshal Service. Incredible.
Fuck
like,
off.
how many fucking cops are we gonna have? We've got Seagal and Morrissey writing it, we've got McKinney, and we've got fucking Sheriff Joe. So we've got 4 cops already. Oh god, the stink coming off. It smells like fucking roasting hog. Okay, so, Jesus Christ, we've got a foreword and a preface.
Oh, what?
So, foreword by Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
Buckle up.
I strongly identify with this book because in many ways I lived what is
Because I'm a
portrayed.
fucking idiot.
Because I'm a dumb cunt. Because in many ways I lived what is portrayed on its pages. During my over 26-year career in DEA, I worked as a young agent in the mountains of Turkey, often on my own, chasing illegal drug merchants as part of the war on drugs.
Chasing. Yeah, just imagine Joe Arpaio chasing
this
up.
little toad of a man fucking running after Turkish drug merchants in the mountains alone.
He's hit the ground running, hasn't he? That was his tactics against the Turkish drug merchants.
Yeah, exactly. Hit first, hit hard. That's the thing with like these kind of fake cop fuckheads. It is impossible to know what's true and what's just pure fiction with them because they're just such practiced liars. It's such second nature to these people. Like Seagal in particular, obviously, is just literally a fraud from beginning to end.
I can't imagine Seagal's going to call anyone out for their bullshit.
Exactly.
Well, could you imagine if they actually all met in person and talked about it? Oh god.
Yeah, they'd all be smoking cigars and sipping whiskey.
Just the fucking IRA when you need it.
Many times, although unknown to me, I had to work side by side with individuals who were actually sabotaging my efforts and even putting my life in danger. This was because they were on the payroll of the illicit drug underground. The deserts of this great state contain the hidden highways used by drug cartels as they pour across our unsecured borders. That flow is slowed under President Donald Trump, however. Fuck me, this cunt cannot write for shit. That flow is slowed under President Donald Trump. However, there are powers known today as the deep state working against his efforts. This is fucking amazing.
Oh god, we're gonna have Joe Arpaio lecture us on the fucking deep state.
Joe, this is why we need slave labour camps in the desert, because Turkish mountain drug merchants. God, that's the problem with these lefties, you just don't live in the real world.
The Turkish Mountie druggers. They're all Canadian Mounties, like riding moose through the fucking mountains of Turkey.
Yeah. The activities of the deep state operatives are a grave danger to our country because they are working against the effort to secure our borders. It is my belief that books such as this bring a better understanding through fiction. Like every one of them has made this point. It's like, in many ways, lies are better at proving my point than the truth is. All I think of when I think of him is the fucking warden from Shawshank Redemption.
I believe in two things: discipline and the Bible. Here you'll receive both. Put your trust in the Lord. Your ass belongs to me.
He's like torturing and murdering all of these people, and then he's just like, we need to educate people about the real threat. And blah, blah, blah. The real threat is like some border crosser from Honduras who has to be put in a slave labour camp.
It's that footage of him at the prison.
Yeah.
Where he literally, he's saying to a prisoner, you know, it was me who got you taken off a lockdown. And he expects like a thank you from them. And it's just like this, I think it's a black woman, and she's just sort of stood there like, fuck off, you know, it's like, gee, could you imagine a more insufferable situation to be in?
Can't even shake the motherfucker. Like, fuck me.
He is hardcore shank.
This will help to bring an awakening which has been smothered by the entrenched leftist mindset that dominates the creative media in this country today. Is this fucking Sleeping Giant part 2? I know and have worked with Steven Seagal, who is a law enforcement officer, along with being an international movie star. He has an unusual understanding of the world in which this story takes place. That's one way of putting it.
I mean, do you know what? That's probably the most honest thing that's been said so far.
Yeah. During his time with my office, he proved his skills as a fugitive hunter.
Fugitive hunter.
Yeah, when he went on the run after shooting my dog. He proved his skills as a fugitive hunter when he arrested one of our top fugitives within 48 hours after beginning the search for him. He brought us a new and extremely effective way of getting the job done. I first met Tom apparently he doesn't feel the need to go into the detail of what
I don't believe you, Joe. I think you're lying.
Yeah. I think you're a liar, Joe. It is my hope that you have not only enjoyed the storyline of The Way of the Shadow Wolves, but you will also think about the message portrayed here. It is less than a hair's breadth from the frightening truth of what is actually happening today in America.
So is the preface also by Joe Arpaio, or is the preface by someone else? Or
Doesn't
it say?
I'm guessing the preface is by Tom Morrissey and Steven Seagal.
Yeah. So is that all we get to hear from
That's Sheriff Joe, unless he makes an appearance in the story.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
He's like 6'6". This huge guy.
Built like fucking Superman.
Yeah.
Well, here's to you, Sheriff Joe.
Yeah.
We hardly knew you.
Yeah.
You fuck.
I honestly hope you get your face shot off. Like, completely off your body. If you get your face shot completely off of your body. So that was the foreword. This is the preface, which I think is just like, that's two words that just mean the same thing, right?
Yeah.
A foreword.
A foreword and a preface.
That's basically
It's got to be Seagal right in the preface. It's that arrogance again, isn't it?
Yeah,
we want Sheriff Joe to be to put his name to it. But I want to write it as well. I've got things to say as well.
Yeah. Wow. So this is like the manifesto. What if the deep state is not, as some strive to suggest, unelected government officials, generally in the secret intelligence community and the military, who run amok outside the rule of law? Right, I just want to say, like, this is one of the things I love about the whole concept of the deep state and this conspiracy theory of the deep state. Is they literally are just describing the military-industrial complex,
but
they do not have the language or the knowledge to understand that that's what they're talking about. And so it has to be this communist pentagon that just does not exist. The woke CIA. It's like that's their version of the deep state.
They have a female head torturer now.
Yeah, exactly. That's where they went wrong. Yeah. It's like they cannot accept that cops and the military are just bad because America is a fucking fascist occupation and basically everything they do therefore is bad. What if abusive elements of the federal government are very much a part of the deep state, but they should be seen as the best of the servant class, not the masters? This has got to be Seagal. It barely makes any sense.
Yeah, that's Seagal, no doubt. He talks like this in some of his like more recent films. Like, where it's like he's on drugs, you know what I mean?
The only thing that will be missing from this is we won't get to see Russian actors really obviously and badly dubbed, which is really disappointing, but you know, we can throw a few clips in here and there.
It's just kind of a bad neighborhood you're walking through. I thought I'd walk you home.
Hey, bitch, are you work here or what? Hey, where are you going, honey? I want a lap dance. I want that bar bitch to dance for me. So fuck you.
What if the deep state begins with one of the world's largest churches and one of the world's most powerful families who control London and Wall Street as well as the central banks, all privately owned in every country of the world? What if governments failed to nationalise the central banks, leaving the deep state to be controlled by one of the world's largest churches and one of its most powerful families?
We just said that, Steve.
What the fuck?
How do you
repeat?
How do you like ramble to the point of repeating yourself in text? Like,
one sentence after the other. What the fuck?
Poor Stephen.
Poor William.
Stick him up.
Jeez, what happened to you, Wiggum? You look terrible.
Yeah, never mind how I look. You gonna give me the money or not?
Well, I don't think so. You don't even have a trigger on that thing.
Yeah, to sell the trigger, and most of the handle to feed my family. Come on, give me the dough. I can throw this pretty hard.
Poor Wiggum.
Poor Wiggum.
What if the greatest crimes against humanity occur at the banking level, where bankers are able to manipulate interest rates and foreign exchange rates, create billions in digital cash without backing, manufacture derivatives that they sell to unwitting investors, and start wars to impact the price of oil and other commodities?
Stephen, that's not deep state. That's just literally what's
Capitalism.
happening. That's
literally just capitalism,
right now. That's
surface
just
level capitalism. Fucking Comrade Seagal. Fucking hell yeah, man.
I mean, I've got to say, that is a very socialist-looking goatee he's got there.
Yeah, and at one with the natural world.
Yeah, with his tassels.
The tassels let you know that he's Native American. It's a deep part of the culture.
Either that or he's a status quo fan. Well, I suppose it could be both.
Yeah, why not both? Whatever you like. What if beneath the bankers are the political parties, generally due to the fact that he's basically just saying, I'm a communist, I'm a socialist, but I'm too stupid to realise that, so I support Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Fuck me. What would Joe Arpaio make of this? Like, is Joe Arpaio a communist now? Uncle Joe. What is happening? Basically, this was the whole point of the fucking Ben Shapiro short fiction stuff. They just cannot understand capitalism. They can't get their heads around it. They don't know what it is. And so the moment they are exposed to it, they're like, what the hell? This is monstrous. This must be communism. Like, fuck me. What if beneath the bankers are the political parties, generally 2 parties per country, that conspire to exclude all other political parties and independents from power? What if many active politicians could be assumed to be compromised? What if they are being bribed or blackmailed by multiple parties, including the Secret Intelligence Service of their own and other countries? What if, in addition to spying on and blackmailing politicians and judges, the Secret Intelligence Services engage in drug running, illicit arms trading, money laundering, and child exploitation (brackets paedophilia) as a means of manipulating specific individuals? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, this is the whole QAnon shit, where it's like you are literally describing your own figureheads.
Yeah.
Trump, Gates, all these other fucking lunatics that they vote into office as, like, because they're Republicans they must be servants of Jesus and therefore infallible and perfect. Like, this is not a secret. This is not the deep state. This is the state.
Yeah, he's literally just describing basically my point of view, but he's just too stupid to realise the way to fight that.
Yeah.
And he's actually just part of it. So
Exactly.
you're part of this, Stephen.
The fact is, is that their answer to all of this stuff just basically boils down to white supremacy and palming everything off on illegal immigration. Like, I'm failing to see how the illegal immigrant border stuff figures into any of this. Like, this is just textbook fascism at this point, as far as I'm concerned, because we know what their prescription is for these problems. They can just fully identify the problems and then just go, and now it's actually the Jews and the banking families. What is that a euphemism for? It's the Jews and it's blacks and it's whoever, and I get to be a rebel fighting the evil empire whilst also being a fucking fascist foot soldier. What if the mainstream media is a complicit partner with the banking, political and intelligence communities? What if it communicates to the public a broad range of false information, outright fake news, while failing to do serious investigative reporting or provide any foundation for citizens desiring to be informed report about current events? What if the universities are also complicit in the deep state narrative? What if most history taught is a lie? What if few realise that the Pulitzer Prize was created to honour the man who invented yellow journalism, the original fake news, in which massive lies were told in order to justify wars? What if universities have refused for decades to actually study and publicise the true cost of specific policies, products and behaviours because they have been incentivised by commercial interests to overlook the fact that most of what the West produces is both wasteful and harmful to human health and the environment? Vote Republican, ladies and gentlemen.
Vote for Donald Trump.
Trump.
What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Well, this is the Democrats and New Labour.
Yes,
This is what's wrong.
yeah,
with those
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Because they know what's wrong, and the only people they can turn to are Tories and fascists. That's it. The deep state here is literally just a euphemism for capitalism and Western imperial colonial powers. That's it.
Like you say, it's so surface level as well. It's like, geez, this is just...
None of this is secret.
Yeah.
They meet each other in person and they discuss this shit in front of news cameras.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a fucking secret. The truth at the heart of all these conspiracy theories is that, yes, there is an active conspiracy against humanity, and you ain't gonna stop it by enacting fascism. For fuck's sake. That's the conspiracy.
That's the end goal of the conspirators, and you are now playing into the conspiracy, and you don't even realise it. You think you're fighting it, but all you're doing is fighting those who are actually fighting it. Oh, it's so embarrassing.
What if some religions are also complicit in the deep state? What if they are used to comfort and distract the masses? Where have I heard? If only there was like a mainstream Western philosopher and economist that had discussed the use of religion as a way of, dumbing down and like suppressing and
almost like a kind of drug for the masses.
Offering a promise of an afterlife intended to reduce demands for economic and social justice in this life. Fucking SJW.
I'm having a fucking think for that.
He was the original social justice warrior. I've seen Fire Down Below.
Yeah. Have you? Honestly, anyone who's watching this who hasn't seen like Seagal's early movies, do watch them. They are so worth it. You will thank me for this.
Yeah, do yourself a favour and pirate all of his movies.
Yes.
What if, put most simply, the deep state is the totality of the institutions of governance that are used to concentrate wealth and power among the 1% while excluding the 99% from having effective voice and vote? What if we the people have the power to say no to the deep state? What if we the people have the power to demand election reform? What if we the people have the power to demand that integrity be restored to our government, our economy and our society? What if this book is dedicated to the Constitution and to the Republic, with the answers to the preceding be in some way answered?
I'm sorry.
What?
Come again?
Fuck? What is this? This is Seagal. Would the answers to the preceding be in some ways answered? Oh my fucking god! We've got a drink tonight. This is fucking amazing. This is amazing.
This is shaping up to be, obviously it's early days, but this may be the best thing we've ever read on this channel.
If it can keep this up, this is easily. This is like, do you know what? I hadn't even thought of this. This is literally the Rig Warrior meets True Allegiance.
Holy shit, yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, which means it could easily be the greatest thing we've ever read.
Oh shit. Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just read the foreword and the preface. The foreword and
We've just read Steven Seagal's Communist Manifesto. Das Kapital by Steven Seagal.
Das Capital.
Well, we finally got through the first 4 pages.
So we're actually at the first chapter.
We're actually at the first chapter now. Fuck me. Jesus Christ.
Is it a prologue?
Yeah.
Prologue by Joe Arpaio.
Starring Joe Arpaio. Chapter 1. Tribal Police. America's front line in the desert. What the fuck? So I just realised an immense sense of self-awareness just came over me there as I said that. When I realised we basically start every single book by doing the exact same thing. You see the first line and realise what's happening and go, what the fuck is happening? This is so weird. What the fuck? I think this is just the opening, the way it does this. This is so weird. Right, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and just say this is another one that's just absolutely was supposed to be a movie. Either that or they're hoping it gets turned into a movie. And honestly, I'm hoping it gets turned into. I haven't even read it, and I hope it gets turned with a filmed version of these prologue sections with Seagal reading out communist propaganda.
Seagal with a beret on.
Yeah. In a darkened Arizona movie theatre, a somber male voice provides commentary over the Native American chanting and drumming that plays in the background of a documentary film.
That's a script.
Yes.
That's a script.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
That's a film script.
Yep. Perhaps the greatest morality play in American history is what occurred in the struggle between the Indian tribes and those in the US government who were hell-bent on civilizing them. Throughout history, the conquering of the land that once belonged to the Native American tribes, which were actually nations in their own right, by those who migrated... He's given us a little history.
Yeah, I noticed that.
By those who migrated here from other parts of the world, was a legacy of cruelty and bloodshed. Are they trying to compare Mexican and Latin American immigration who migrated here from other parts? Are they trying to compare immigrants coming from their economic deprivations, to European colonialists who genocided the Native American tribes?
I don't think there's enough yet to say for sure that that's what's happening, but I think it's something to bear in mind.
I'm trying to square the contradictions here, and I feel like that might be a way that they manage to do it in their own heads.
Yeah.
I feel the need, especially after Trump Tower and stuff like that, I feel the need, anytime I get a feeling,
to say it out loud. Yeah.
The history begins with the brutal relocation of many of the 250 different tribes throughout this country, manifesting in such tragedies as the infamous Trail of Tears, onto the creation of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, moving to the great contributions of the over 25,000 Native Americans who served with exceptional ability in World War II. The government encouraged the creation of tribal constitutions, out of which came the tribal police departments. Within these departments was the genesis of the great trackers, many of whom were shadow.
I love that he's got such a comprehensive knowledge of the history of the Native Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, he mentioned the Trail of Tears.
Yeah. World War II.
I mean, he knows it all.
Now, today. And that's really, that's pretty much all that happened to him.
Yeah.
The closing moments of the film arrive, and the credits start to roll as the narrator continues. Why is he narrating over the credits? Why is he continuing?
What kind of film is this?
Native Americans have an innate and powerful spiritual connection with the credits are rolling over there. An understanding of the true nature of all that is on this planet and how it works in the perfect balance of cause and effect. An elite group within the Native American communities known as the Shadows is just this has got this more than even Trump Tower. I feel Seagal was actually writing this stuff because it's so nonsensical. It just total segues into gibberish every other sentence. An elite group within the Native American communities known as Shadow Wolves are part of this perfect balance and are the best of the best, with the ability to see what can't be seen with eyes. They know without having to be taught. They blend easily with the night. True right from wrong is ingrained in their souls, which makes them able to stand against evil, no matter the cost, to see footprints on rocks. Is this supposed to be racist? Is that the point?
No, that's him earnestly bigging them up.
Yeah, but again, let's not forget, he's claiming to be Native American. He's bigging himself up.
Of course,
it's him.
yeah.
I'm just natural. My Aikido powers come from the great spirit bear in some native shit, whatever. You know what I mean? It's he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, but it's just whatever. This ridiculous version, this idyllic version of these people. Come the fuck on, man. A man sits alone, quietly watching the film in the back of the darkened theatre. The credits have played and the narrator's just still going.
The reason he's alone is because everyone's left because the film's finished.
Yeah. He stirs in his seat and comments to himself, "It's about time." John Good rises slowly from his seat and continues viewing as he backs up, slowly making his way out of the theatre into the lobby. So he just walks backwards
coming through the curtain.
He just opens the door with the back of his head. What the fuck? This is so fucking weird.
This is mad. This is madness already. I kind of love it.
Yeah. What is happening?
Like, were you watching a documentary at the cinema? I don't understand.
I don't understand.
Why is the narration going on over the end credits?
Why did you walk backwards out of the room? What the fuck?
John Good.
Yeah.
Johnny B. Good.
Johnny B. Good. Fuck, I hadn't even thought he's going to be a musician, isn't he? He's going to play in a bar and everyone's going to say how cool he is. A dust devil was dancing across a place between him and the setting sun. This tall, lean man, who in the approaching darkness could have easily been confused with a saguaro cactus, was breathing in the beautiful scene before him.
Steven Seagal does look like a cactus.
Yeah, his sort of rigid limbs covered in spikes. He was fully aware of a man standing behind him about 80 feet away in the desert foliage. At first, that man seemed to be taking photos of the evening desert that lay some 30 miles south of Phoenix and less than 10 seconds from Washington, D.C.
10 seconds? What?
I really don't know what that means. I can only assume it's a mystery, a simmering mystery that's going to be unravelled in the next few pages. Oh, I can't wait to find out. So, this is where pronunciation is going to become an issue. So, I do not know how to pronounce this name. I have tried to find out how to pronounce this, and I just can't. We can always correct ourselves later, but I'm going to say his name is John Good.
I mean,
because it just sounds like the exact kind of on-the-nose shit.
Yes,
that
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
I think, we'll stick with that, just bearing in mind that we might be mispronouncing it.
Yeah, apologies. Just generally, apologies.
Yeah. Apologies for everything we've done.
The Native American, John Nantan Good. John Nantan
Goday
had classic chiseled features and was born and raised on the reservation, leaving it at age 18 after graduating high school to join the United States Marines. It was clear, even in boot camp, that he had something unique going that had its genesis in the words of his grandfather, who had taught him the old ways, starting when he was 13 years old. This is so fucking ridiculous. His spirit was totally connected to this land. He knew that when he walked this desert, he was stepping where the many brave, bold, and sometimes naive men who preceded him once walked. He could feel their energy and sense their spirit with the way things were playing out in their culture.
What?
This is like the other ones have often been like difficult to follow. I think this is the first where even when you get to the end, it actually just literally doesn't make any sense. The sentences don't make any sense. He could feel their energy and sense their spirit with the way things were playing out in their culture. How they had been led down a path of total dependence by an elite group of politicians who were concerned only with absolute power. Nothing more, nothing less.
Vote Republican.
Vote Sheriff Joe for sheriff.
Fucking hell.
He could hear what sounded like clicking behind him as the sound rode the desert air to his animal-like ears.
Dog ears.
He's a cat boy. Yeah. He's an anime cat boy. There were others who had joined the man, but there was no conversation accompanying their arrival. The one with the camera device used hand signals to communicate with them. About 20 feet from where John was standing was a rise in the land. He proceeded with what he was doing despite the action behind him, moving slowly toward it while shaking his fist in the air. Old man shakes fist at cloud. This was his grandfather's old ways method of bidding the sun a good night and asking it to return in the morning. As he was ceremonially dancing and chanting towards the rise,
oh god,
he suddenly dropped to his knees. There he began his shaman-natured ritual celebrating the spirit of the wolf, the dominant creature of the night. I knew it was going to be this way, but I wasn't prepared for it to happen this quickly.
Like, obviously, I don't want to take the piss out of actual Native American rituals and traditions.
No.
Obviously, like, I'm not laughing at that. It's just the idea that Steven Seagal thinks he has the right to stand there talking about, like, and then he... Like, again, he doesn't describe the dance because he doesn't fucking know. Like,
Joe, it's the old ways.
Yeah. This is just... It's the Elizabeth Warren school of Native American position.
Yeah.
Like.
It just reminds me of fucking, again, Grandpa in The Simpsons. It was back in the old country. I forget which one. As he chanted, a shadowy wolf slowly approached him out of the encroaching darkness, kissed his forehead, and stood there for a moment, watching him. After a moment, the animal turned and looked at the men who had stopped dead in their tracks as they approached from behind. The mysterious wolf's fierce eyes glared at them as they froze in place. He then slowly turned his glance back to the kneeling Native American, kissing his forehead again before disappearing back into the shadows. At that point, John got back to his feet and continued dancing his way into the darkness. He went behind the rise from where he was able to observe them, but they could not see him.
Sorry, it's just because he put himself on the cover, I can only imagine Steven Seagal himself doing it, like, danced his way into the darkness. He's on mescaline out in the desert.
He's just pulling his clothes off and there's no one there. Again, this is the fucking Chili episode.
Yes. I was going to say, does based on Johnny Cash's voice.
He was a ghost warrior known as a shadow wolf, one who could easily blend with the night, disappear into the darkness at will. Like, we just literally just had these, like, word for word. They spread out, moving swiftly without making a sound. All three had been startled by the appearance of the wolf and prepared themselves should it attack them. So the wolf, that is actually what just took place. He actually mystically communes with wolves. John's first thoughts were that they were sent by one of the drug cartels to take him out because of his success with intercepting their supply lines into Arizona.
He's obviously been intercepting their supply lines.
Yeah, clearly. He remained part of the darkness, blended with the desert landscape, observing them, totally hidden from their eyes. His Sig Sauer in his hand, poised at the ready.
Is that a Native American weapon? Is it the Sig Sauer? The 9mm Sig Sauer.
His grandfather's old ways taught him about that. As suddenly as they appeared, they were gone. Motionless, John held his position for another 10 minutes to make certain they weren't doing the same. After a short time, the night sounds of the desert and his spirit wolf helped him to know they were gone. I thought that we had gotten them all, but maybe I was wrong. Never underestimate the deep state, was John's lingering thought. A few days earlier, things had started to get strange when he began hearing from a confidential informant that there were black SUVs doing a lot of driving in the night out where nobody was. He mentioned a young tribal member who might be of some help for a price. John made it his business to find that person so he could get an idea of what he knew about the goings-on so far out in the nighttime desert.
Yes.
Yeah.
I figured that was what was going to happen.
Yeah. He decided not to seek that person out and learned nothing.
And went to bed.
The big lawman tracked him down at the casino where he worked part-time as a gopher errand boy. He quickly engaged the errand boy in conversation after showing his badge and telling him he had some questions about the SUVs. "How come you were out there?" John asked the young man, whose nickname was Sweet Tooth. "I was camping." "Out there? Why?" "Wanted to be alone, trying to find myself." "I'd call that being as alone as you can get without being on the moon," John said sarcastically. "And you're telling me that you like camping out there enough to spend a couple of nights?" "Stop shitting me." John faked annoyance. I don't really understand.
I don't get this at all.
Come on, man. Before you go acting like you don't believe me, you want me to show you where it is, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The rangy young Indian was gangly and of average height, dark complexioned, with long black hair and a constant, slightly hopeful smile. He wore a black Billy Jack-style flat-top cowboy hat. In his early 20s, he didn't light up the sky with his brilliance.
That's nice.
That's a nice side to have made. Not like John does.
Yeah.
The tall lawman drove with him. The big lawman, that was the tall. Drove with him to the campsite. There was a long ride in John's dust-coated black SUV. The dirt trail wound around saguaro cactus fields, which seemed endless. It was early afternoon when they got to the campsite. John, there's a lot of inverted commas here. Like, it's so strange. John found an assortment of tyre tracks indicating that there was more than a little traffic running through there. "Tell me, exactly how many campouts you've been on, Tooth?" John asked with a serious tone to his whisper-quiet voice. "What's happening, bruh?"
What's happening, bro?
You finding yourself yet? John asked, not looking his way as he studied the tracks and the direction they were moving in while he spoke. This is so shit. I love it.
It's another one where it's just like he just never knows where to finish a sentence.
When to shut the fuck up. This was a common occurrence in the Arizona desert between the Mexican border and Phoenix. Something he thought extremely dangerous and, if left unchecked, what? Jesus Christ, this is so poorly written. Like, he's missing a word there. Like, if we take out the fucking comma stuff, something extremely dangerous and could cause the eventual destruction of the United States. Like, and that,
yes,
if left unchecked. The deep state within the mainstream media kept the eyes of the country on the flood of illegals that were coming across the border. They painted them as simple people in need of a better life. It was a cunning distraction to take the eyes off the drugs that billionaire drug lords were pumping into the US. What is the connection between that exactly? We're fed the lie that the immigrants are just ordinary people, so that we hate the border patrol guys who murder them in the desert.
Obviously, one of the glaring flaws with that logic is that we're not told that by the media, are we? We're told the exact opposite by the media.
But if I tell you that the media tell you that, then that means it's a lie,
Yeah.
which means they're bad. John knew why it was working and saw it as collusion between the paid-off media and the drug lords. His sense was that the then presidential administration in Washington was using the media as their potent tool for forwarding their open borders agenda. He felt that they were poisoning the minds of the many who drank up what they were spewing like thirsty nomads in a desert oasis. What troubled John even more was that the country was asleep when it came to the OTMs, or other than Mexicans, coming across a virtually open southern border into the country and possibly assembling for what America had never known before, a jihadi caliphate.
What?
This is incredible. Listen to this. His fear was that they were already spread throughout the country without anyone understanding how big a threat it was, especially in the American cities they would be targeting. Like, sleeper agents, jihadi sleeper agents coming across the border. And we've just had this whole thing about the bankers and this, that, and the other.
I was just
and then we've
going to say that,
immediately gone into the dirty Muslims. Kill the Muslims.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So much for Comrade Seagal.
Yeah. I think it's time to put him up against the fucking wall myself.
I'm sorry, Steve. Oh, well, not really. What's your name, man? Sweet Tooth asked in a friendly tone. The tribal police officer turned toward him, looking him up and down without saying a word. It gets awful lonely out here. Would you give me a kiss? He wondered about the world this kid lived in. Did he have a strong male role model in his life? He felt a sudden surge of sadness fill his heart as he recalled his own upbringing by a mother who struggled to make his life good, and the paternal grandfather who taught him the ancient ways from the time he could understand until he went off to the Marines. So there was the old ways.
The ancient ways.
If only they could have made his life good.
Tried to make his life good.
Aww.
Poor Stephen.
He thought about the way he was guided and kept on the path by two people who cared about him and the way his life should be. Did Sweet Tooth have anything like that in his life? My name is John Goday, he answered with a trace of sensitivity.
I was going to say, it's really important for a CO and the police have to have a,
Chemistry.
good chemistry.
Cool. I like that. You are this quiet guy who moves around like no one I have ever seen. You are a res man, and yet you ain't. He had a curious expression on his face, but he seemed sincere in a crude way. You ever been in trouble? John asked him, anticipating his answer. I got into a fight or two. And got your ass kicked, didn't you? Wouldn't exactly say that. Got in a couple of shots to the face before I took off running and left the arsehole in the dust, he laughed.
That'd be amazing.
Did the people in the vehicle see you out here? No one sees me if I don't want them to see me, the youngster said smugly. What's your secret, Tooth? I'm magic. Pure magic, officer, he said, smiling, his arms open wide.
They're gonna fuck it.
Tooth is getting fucked tonight. So, what did you see the people in these vehicles do? One night they moved some scared-sounding folks from two vans into a box truck. Then on another night, two small trucks met up with a dark SUV. 3 or 4 guys moved a bunch of small boxes from the truck beds into the back of the SUV. Then the 2 guys in the SUV counted whatever they put in their car, and when they got done, handed them a small bag. John was getting really interested now, and Sweet Tooth sensed his growing interest. I bet he fucking did.
Just throbbing interest.
Yeah, it looked like they dragged someone or something out of the truck bed and went off into the darkness. Just over here, if you'd like to follow. Maybe we could look at the darkness together. They were gone for about an hour and came back empty-handed. John didn't buy all of his story, but the part that he did buy caused him to fully understand that what was taking place out there under the cover of darkness was not something to be celebrated by good people. There was a feeling about this place that disturbed John, but he couldn't put his finger on what that feeling was. It seemed to take him back to things his grandfather had warned him about when he was spending time learning from the old man. He remembered being told that he had the spirit of the snake in his bloodline, and that gave him power over some people and many snakes.
Not even all snakes,
just some.
Quite a lot of snakes.
Most of them.
At least 10 snakes.
Yeah. So he has a spirit
I thought it was wolf.
Yeah, he has a spirit wolf and power over snakes.
He's going to set wolves and snakes on the cartel.
On the deep state.
Oh yeah.
The big lawman and his many snakes. But what he had going on in that place at that time was unsettling at best. Oh, God, this is so hard to read. As they began the ride back to the reservation, Sweet Tooth made some small talk while John said nothing until he asked, "What's your name, son?" "You know that already. You've been calling me by it since we've been talking." "What you mean?" That was what apostrophe CHU. What you mean?
Oi, what's your name, you cat?
I'm gonna ask you again, what's your name? He wanted the young man to understand that he wasn't in the mood for games. He looked at him with intensity. Oh, fuck me, sorry. It says after a futile shrug, and I thought it said after a fertile shrug. I was like, oh, he really is gonna fuck him. After a futile shrug, he answered, "Henry." "Henry what?" "I'm not sure, big guy?"
Be gay? Henry be gay. So you got Johnny be good and Henry be gay.
I didn't see that. Henry be gay. This is getting ridiculous now.
I am actually shocked that this hasn't happened so far in any of the books we read. It's like it comes right up to the precipice of two guys boning down, but it never quite
They never have the balls.
Yeah.
You're just gonna pull over and then just gonna absolutely fucking go at it. He stopped dead in the middle of the small dirt road and in the middle of his sentence when he noticed several coyotes pawing the ground just off to the side of where they were driving. John got out quickly. He then paused for a few seconds before beginning to walk cautiously towards the animals. The younger man stayed in his seat, not wanting to move until he knew what was going on. He froze when he saw John draw his weapon slowly. The big man was hoping he wouldn't have to use it on the dogs as he moved to within 15 feet of the small pack. They took off when he made some strange sounds and spoke words in a language the young Native American had never heard before. He just talks to some he can talk to animals.
I don't even
He's
know.
Dr. Doolittle.
He's Dr. Doolittle. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty racist, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd be right to say that. He shook his head, saying to himself, "I believe those animals understood every word this guy said. This is some crazy shit, man."
Me. I was going to say, perhaps he learned it from Vladimir Putin, and the reason the Native American can't understand it is because he was speaking Russian.
He learned it from Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin.
He sat absolutely still, watching closely as the big man holstered his weapon and knelt down, picking up something small. The young Native American didn't know it, but John had discovered a tooth lying on a flat rock. A strange energy came over John as he folded it into a page he tore from a small notebook he kept in his hip pocket, dropping it into his shirt pocket. What? So he did fuck me. Okay.
Again, there's no need for any of that shit. It's just say he put it into he folded it in a bit of paper from his notebook.
Yeah, it's just there's no need. I wonder why you would feel the his face. Oh, I wonder why. Dropping it into his shirt pocket, he had the sense that it was something more than just a piece of tooth. He wants a piece of tooth.
Some of that sweet tooth.
Kneeling on one knee again, he began pushing the dirt around in front of him. The younger man knew something bad was there when John threw his head back in disgust and looked away for a moment from whatever he had uncovered. Sweet Tooth got out of the vehicle and started making his way toward John. "Stay back! Don't come over here!" Tall lawman commanded.
The tall lawman is still doing it.
"What you got there, horse?" Tooth asked, hoping against hope that it wasn't a body. "You find a body or something?" "Stay there," John commanded, as he looked at the hand... fuck me. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. As he looked at the handless and footless body of a Caucasian woman lying in the fresh, shallow grave he had just discovered. Her face was totally covered with caked, bloody dirt and her teeth were all missing. He realised that he most likely had one of them in his pocket. The need to keep this to himself until after he had run a DNA and dental records ID check was firmly entrenched in his gut. Henry was nauseous with fear that it might be the body of his brother Jimmy, who was the reason why he was camping out in the no man's land, where his brother used to lie. He was hoping to find him or learn something about where he could be by hanging around out here. Jimmy was 4 years older. He was bolder and extremely prone to take chances that often made his younger brother afraid for him. Johnny... Oh, fuck, the use of language is incredible. John walked back to him slowly and asked, "Who were you expecting that to be?" "My brother Jimmy." John started putting it together as soon as the words left the young man's mouth. "You know, kid, I'm glad it's not your brother, but I'm wondering why you didn't mention this right out of the gate. You want to tell me the story? The whole story?"
And nothing but the story.
Sweet Tooth shook his head, expressing his self-pity. "Not too many people into helping me these days." "Well, maybe you just met one." John was stoic, but his sincerity came through when he wanted it to. "My feeling is that you got something on your shoulders that maybe needs to be lifted off. Talk to me." This isn't just sex, this is romantic.
Yes, yeah.
They're not just boning,
Yeah.
they're like looking in each other's eyes while they do it. The younger Native American wanted to trust John. Maybe it was because the longer his brother was involved with whomever he was involved with in Mexico, the more desperate he was becoming, and the possibility of someone jumping in who could help was causing him to lower his guard. "Do you know anything about the Mexican military running practice shit on this side of the border?" "Practice shit? What kind of practice shit are you talking about?"
Just practice having a shit.
Yeah, we're better. Across the border and doing fucking shit in the hole. Manoeuvres? Not unless the big dogs in DC know about it. John was getting more and more interested in this conversation. "There's more to this than you're telling me, Henry." John's eyes were like molten steel, and he didn't hear what he wanted, or if he felt he was being played. And at that moment he felt like he was being played. He bent towards Sweet Tooth's face, since he was a good 6 inches taller, and said, "Stop bullshitting me with half stories, man. It's making me mad, Henry. I think you might need to be punished." "Tell me what's really going on, or I might forget that I'm trying to help you. Understand me?" John intimidated the young Native American, and he knew it. Okay, here it is." He took a breath and hesitated, then dropped his trousers. "About a month ago, my brother shows me this wad of bills he's carrying around in his pocket. More money than I ever seen in one place ever before. He says, 'Keep this in a safe spot for me. Go ahead and buy our mum something nice. Buy yourself some ice cream.'"
Some ice cream?
He's 6 years old. Like,
fucking ice cream. So how much ice cream am I getting? Like, you just give me thousands of dollars.
Buy yourself $6,000 worth of ice cream and give it to your mother. She'll know what to do with it. Tooth adjusted his black, flat-brimmed Billy Jack cowboy hat, thought for a moment, then got right back into his story. That is like the definition of filler right there.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Tooth adjusted his black, flat-brimmed Billy Jack cowboy hat, thought for a moment, then got right back into the story. So I might as well have just carried on with the story, really, if I think about it. Then he tells me that he's hooked up with some Mexican guys who run nighttime exercises, he calls them. Exercises? What kind of exercise? Calisthenics, you know, aerobics, yoga. Weird shit, man. Damned if I know. But whatever it is, he told me they do them a lot. He said they were some heavy-duty hombres. Mexicans? No Americans? John pushed him, trying to get a fix on whether or not they might be deep state operatives.
Jesus Christ! I just love how the protagonist is just this absolute raving lunatic. Everything's deep state. It's a deep state.
Deep state again. It's a deep state. It's a deep state. It's a Mexican deep state.
This is our protagonist.
Yeah.
Does every country have its own deep state?
No,
or
it's
are they
all
all
one.
just one?
Yeah, it's the Bohemian Grove globalists.
Illuminati boys.
Federal Reserve.
Jews.
Globalists.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean globalists,
Excuse me,
yes.
Joe. Fucking hell. Don't let them hear you say that. Cover up the tattoos.
Yeah, oh fuck, yeah.
Tattoo? No, I don't have any tattoos.
Tattoo? What? No,
Look,
obviously
it is
shirt.
it's a hint piece, okay? It's not what you think. My grandfather taught me the ancient ways.
Yeah, my grandfather Hans. He taught me the old ways.
Yeah, he gave me this knife that he got in a youth program. No, it's not what you think. No, they weren't American. But he said there were these heavy-breathing Arab guys coming out with them. What the fuck?
Oh fuck! It's like, I swear, man. True Allegiance took so long to get to anything even remotely.
Yeah.
What the fuck? This is just banged straight
This
into
is
it.
fantastic. Yeah. Heavy breathing. What was making them breathe heavy?
All the sex.
All the incredible gay sex. No, it doesn't have nothing to do with breathing. It's like the way they talk, man. He said they sound like they're gargling when they speak. They got some bad accents. Tooth tried to explain it as best he could.
I don't like this.
What the fuck? What? Is
Yeah,
that just
that's just racism,
literally
isn't it?
just racism?
They sound horrible when they talk. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
rabid fucking animals. What?
What if America's actually the problem? Nah, it's the Arabs.
Yeah. Did he tell you anything else about these guys? Yeah. He said that they had him get them some women and hashish. So when they're done with whatever they were doing out here in the dark, that was his job? You're telling me that your brother's a pimp but a drug dealer? Yeah. That's what worries me. He said he was going back down to Mexico with the rich guys and he was going to stay there for a while because they were hiring him to help with some projects. That's all he said, and then he took off. John ran Tooth's story through his head, thinking that this was shaping up to be something that couldn't be classified as a happy ending for young Henry Begay. Well, I'm gonna, be your assistant on this, right? My assistant? John looked at him with a slight smile. There was something going on with this kid that John found worthy. Now, let me think this through. You're going to be my assistant. My assistant what? Your assistant, cop, I guess. You guess? John was beginning to enjoy his newfound friend's naivety. He couldn't shake the notion that this could have something to do... What incredible sentence this is. Just incredible. He couldn't shake the notion that this could have something to do with the international deep state.
He fucking says that about every... Last time he went and bought a coffee, he was thinking, this is deep state.
Like at night he comes into the bathroom and he finds the tap dripping. Fucking deep state.
He pulls out his gun and shoots it.
Fucking deep state.
This is a true love story song, a triumphant of glory song, with only one small caveat. This one hasn't happened yet. It's not the strongest narrative, but details aren't imperative. What matters is the way it ends, and they've got 16 mutual friends. And he's got animal spirits, and he's got heartfelt lyrics. Put them together and you can hear it. Oh, song everyone knows. And he's got animal spirits, and he's got heartfelt lyrics. Put them together.
Where'd you think he's flying to?
Maybe he has a family too.